Lord, make us instruments of your peace.
Where there is hatred, let us sow love.
Where there is injury, pardon.
Where there is doubt,
Faith. Where there is despair, hope.
Where there is darkness,
light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master,
grant that we may not so much seek
to be consoled as to console,
to be understood as to understand,
to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive,
it is in pardoning that we are pardoned,
and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
WESN.
Well, a very good morning to you, Trinidad and Tobago, and to our audience across the world. My name is Keaton Shaw, and this is AM Prime on WESN, Content Capital. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Hope all is well with you, and hope wherever you are in TNT, the weather is treating you well. Yeah, it's been really, really hot lately, but hopefully later on we will get some good weather. I know that my director, Ryan Gomezberg, is smiling because he told me that I should be a meteorologist because of my predictions. And I know that he's probably even laughing more at that comment in itself. But welcome to the program. Thanks for being with us as we get into a packed lineup this morning. And starting with an interview, and I'll be honest with you, viewers, I've been trying to actually wrap my head around introducing this particular interview, because it focuses on an individual, Kayla Jordan Paris, and her story is quite incredible. It's quite amazing. In fact, at the age of 10 years old, Kayla was diagnosed with lupus, and she went through quite a lot. To describe it to you this morning is not in my position. My guest will definitely do that. But her story is inspiring because no matter what Kayla faced, she always had a real positivity about her. She always seemed to be a step above all her challenges, and in doing so, she inspired many. Kayla was a spoken word artist and poet, and one of the most interesting things to me is that beyond that, she actually enjoyed writing midnight robber speeches. Not many people actually do that still. That in itself is incredible. And through it all, Kayla made many memories along the way, made many friends, and touched many lives, inspiring many. And unfortunately, when she lost her battle to lupus, the story only continued because the memories she created and those she inspired, well, it lives on today. Through a book that was recently launched, I believe it was 1 week ago, that was authored by her grandmother, Miss Christine Paris de Beek. But before we get into that story, I'd like to welcome to the program the producer of AM Prime, our colleague and news anchor at WESN, Miss Naomi McNish. Good morning, Naomi, and good to see you on this morning.
Hi, morning. I'm so happy to be here this morning. Very excited for you.
Well, Naomi, it's always a pleasure having you on, and I'm going to welcome our guest shortly, but I believe that Kayla was a very, very special individual to you. Could you describe that relationship for us?
I can. Kayla was my friend for many years. We met in Form 1 of Bishop Amplia High School. From then on till 2023, which was the year she died, we've maintained a close relationship. She is the pinnacle of what friendship meant, and I'm not just being biased. She was everything that anybody wanted to have in a friend. So
the pinnacle of friendship is something that we all hope to experience, and Kayla certainly brought that, because the stories that I've heard and what I've been exposed to, quite incredible. So Naomi, it gives it gives us great pleasure now. So welcome to the program, the author of the book Standing Tall, which was launched last Wednesday, and also Kayla's grandmother, Miss Christine Paris-DeBeek. Good morning, Miss Paris-DeBeek, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Keaton. Thank you very much for welcoming me.
How are you doing today? How are you doing? How are you keeping?
I am doing fine. I'm good.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us indeed. And it's this particular story with so many factors and so many individuals that Kayla touched, and all that she was able to do, all that she was able to achieve. You know, sitting down and writing this book in particular, how were you able to get all of that achievements, all of that Kayla was able to do into this one book that details her memories?
Well, thank the Lord for technology, because at least on my cell phone, and I mean, while I am not a nerd of the technology, you know, I do keep a running record of daily happenings, daily events, and I was able to go back into my phone for a few years back and get most of the details, you know, and beyond that, then I had to fill in. I didn't realize it would have been such a task until I started doing it, and then I realized that I really had to be on point with all the details. So thank the Lord for the cell phone, you know, because that assisted me greatly. Yeah.
Technology. As we've been learning lately, technology can be your friend and your enemy when it wants to be. But did you really, why did you want to author this particular book? Because it's been just 1 year, and throughout this process, many families are still going through that grieving process. You've taken a different attitude, you've taken a different approach where, oh no, I want to celebrate Kayla. How difficult was it balancing all that you and your family have gone through, and also at the same time getting this book out there for all to read and experience?
Well, actually, writing the first part of the book wasn't difficult at all. It was just you know, brought back memories. I was just recreating her life and so on. And that part was not difficult. The difficult part came to just writing her final hours. That was the great difficulty. And I thought of doing it because Kayla herself had planned to do this book in 2023. This was to be her project for 2023. Unfortunately, she died very early in 2023 and wasn't able to start it. So one day it just hit me that, you know, why don't I do it? And I guess that was it. So it just took me many nights, I guess, of, I didn't really write much during the day. I mostly used the nights to write all that I had to do. I didn't realize it would have been such a task, but the writing part more or less was easy. The hardest part came in doing the editing and the proofreading, the final details.
Sorry, so Naomi smiling there for a moment. But Miss Paris-DeBeek, in reliving all of these memories and really, you know, as you said, the most difficult part was having to write Kayla's final hours. At any point in time, did you just find yourself in a position where you did not want to go through this? I could imagine that in celebrating Kayla's life, there was so much to put into the book, and then coming down to that part where having to actually describe her final hours, did you find yourself at any point in time not even wanting to continue writing this book?
Not really. I just knew that once I had started, it was something I wanted to complete, more or less on Kayla's behalf. I wanted to complete it. So it was okay. I mean, once I wrote the final part, that was it. I didn't really go back to it or anything. I left it up to my two friends who were doing the editing and the proofreading to come up with anything, because even now, if you might look at the book, I don't ever look at the final hours. I read the rest of the book and I leave out that part, you know. But I don't think there was any point in time that I really wanted to stop writing. Of course, during the course of writing it, there were days that I really had to put myself in the mood that I was going to deal with the book tonight or so, you know. But other than that, I was okay.
Is this book something you think Kayla would be proud of?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think that she would have enjoyed it. of course, I am doing it from my reading of the situation and stuff. And if she herself had done it, she would have been able to give us more or less her feelings, you know? I mean, we had a good relationship. She would often talk, but you know, you don't really ever know exactly what's going through a person's mind. And I mean, she really did go through a lot, you know, so that all her pain and sufferings. And so we most probably didn't know half of what she was going through because she always projected a very cheerful countenance all the time. And so, you know, so I think she would have been pleased that I made the effort on her behalf. You know, I think she would have enjoyed the end result.
On that note, can you give us a quick overview of Kayla and who she was?
Oh, that's great. That's thing. But first to begin, she was diagnosed with the lupus at earlier than 10 years old. She was diagnosed actually about 8 years, you know, but she maybe had started having symptoms from the year before or so. But she was actually diagnosed at 8 years. And I remember her first major illness when she was 10 years old when she had her first major illness. And at that point, you know, she was very angry. You know, she said, why on earth do I have lupus? Why did God give me lupus? I don't want to have lupus. You know, why didn't he give all the kidnappers and the rapists and the murderers? You know, but beyond that, once she recognized that this was her lot in life, she learned as much as she could learn about the disease. At every step, she knew what was more or less going on. She was on top of everything, so much so that a couple of her doctors were quite amazed that she knew all of her medications, she knew the generic terms and so. And all I could say is that thereafter she really coped with the disease, so that lots of times we even forgot that she was ill, you know. And I'm sure you, her friends, would know that, you know, in school and stuff like that. There were many days when she really was a little bit under the weather, and you knew that she was not capable of being her full self. But on a lot of occasions, she was, you know, just a normal teenager. She never really, what you may call it, except for her major illnesses, she never really gave in to, you know, her illness. She never let it conquer her.
I think now I also understand a bit more as per the title of the book, Standing Tall. It seems as though Keela, through all that she faced, always found a way to conquer all of these challenges and all that she faced and all that she went through. She brought a lot of positivity and inspiration to others. Did did Keela actually ever seem to complain about that at all? With all that she faced, Naomi keeps telling me she used to be like the rock
Yes.
amongst all the friends.
Yes, she was. And I mean, she was more or less like the leader in all the escapades and stuff, you know, yeah. She was really the leader. Um, there were some times, I mean, mostly like very early morning, like when she came to live with me, she would come downstairs and she would be very just a little out of it, a little sour, you know. And when I said, she said, Granny, it's okay, I didn't have such a good night. I'm fine, you know, I just need to catch myself a little bit. But beyond that, I mean, most days, you know, she was okay. Nighttime, I guess, when the pains really would maybe surface, you know how things always seem to be a little worse at night. So at night, you know, she would have these pains, whether it was chest pains when she had to do dialysis and she was doing the peritoneal dialysis, that set of fluid and stuff. We always had a toss up and a fight with the fluids because the fluids would settle at various parts of her body. So that was a difficult part of the process for her. But other than that, she was more or less, I think, you know, most people couldn't believe that she was really ill, that she had anything. She didn't portray that, you know. So I guess that was just Kayla.
Yes, I don't think we can go through this without touching on or talking about her poems because Kayla was an extremely ardent poet. She had a way with words, and I think that was one of the ways that she coped with a lot of things that were going on in her life. Sorry. So, and the book Standing Tall has a number of her poems, if not all,
No, no,
Um,
no, not all.
not all, yeah.
Not
So,
all, not all. Yeah.
Because
but
I also understand that this is a book written about Kayla for Kayla, but Kayla herself was also an author because I learned that she had her poems published as well.
Yes, yes, she did. When she was about 15, she had her first book of poems published. And quite a few of them she must have written, I think maybe from the time she was about 12 or so. And I didn't realize that she had had a body of works until she maybe reached about 14 or 15 years old. So then I was able to, I knew Jerry Besso from Paria Publishing. And we showed them to Jerry, and he said, yes, they were worth publishing. He said they were a little bit morbid for a child of her age, but they were, so I guess, and those poems really, her frustrations and her disappointments and her, all her, that was her way of coping, as Naomi said. It was her way of coping. She let out all her feelings in words.
I think just to clear that up,
Yeah.
though, when Kayla was 15, she had a book published
Yes.
with her poems,
Yeah.
right? So this book now, while it also does have her poems, she was, I think she can be considered an author as well because a lot of her journal entries, her private journal entries, are published into the book. So reading the book, you do get a sense of Kayla directly speaking because you hear her whole personality comes through in these journal entries. So apart from the poems, we have that as well, which is very exciting because you get a lot of, as people say these days, tea as to what was going on in Kayla's life.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yes.
Naomi, you speak with such enthusiasm, and you also speak with a great sense. Kayla seems to have really played a pivotal role in your life and has touched you in so many ways. You speak with also a great sense of awe. Describe to me, Kayla as a friend. We've gotten a description of Kayla from her grandmother, but from you, describe to us Kayla as a friend.
There's not enough words to describe Kayla as a friend, but I'll keep it very simple. She was always there. I never doubted her loyalty. I never doubted her sense of she had a lot of love to give, and she never made anybody feel left out. She, as much friends as she had around her and people around her, she was always there. So whenever you needed her, you could always count on her. She was there. She would answer her phone. Even if she's not feeling well, she will still answer, hear what you have to say, and then say that she's not feeling well.
Yeah.
It was always everybody else and then her. So in the reverse now, we always had to, Kayla, you have to put yourself first sometimes. You have to remind her that, or we would be there for her, or try to be there for her as much as she's been there for us. She was a great friend, a great friend.
So, Miss Paris, with this that has been said now, and the essence of Keela really being put into this particular book, is this book now available for members of the public to get a hand on a copy so that they themselves can read it?
Well, I guess they can get a copy. It's not yet at any bookshops. I have not approached any of the bookstores for them. What I did, or like before I printed, I sent out to my circle of friends. Her father did, and Naomi and her best friend Shanique, they also did. So I got an idea of how many people would have been interested, and I just printed maybe about maybe less than 100 more of the books. So right now they're only available through me or through one of her friends, Naomi Shanique. Anybody can get in touch with us. And they would be, made available. They could come and collect or we deliver. And that's about it, until I see exactly how much effect the book has on the public. I will know if I need to print more and approach the bookstores, but for right now, it's just more or less circle of friends and beyond.
Well, the thing is, I think I'm going to have to put in my good word with Naomi for a copy of this book.
Okay.
Because there's a lot that I want to read about Kayla writing her poems. You described it as morbid. She herself, in a previous interview, described it as being morbid because her first set of works really focused on the ills of society, or the ill elements of
Yes.
society, rather. And then reading about her writing midnight robber speeches, she loved to perform, she loved to sing. But I also, reading from a previous interview, she said that she was looking forward to the future because she was looking to publish her second book. And I'm not so sure if she was ever able to do that. But this book in itself, from all that has been described to me this morning, I want to get a copy of this book, Standing Tall, the story of Kayla Jordan Paris. But, before we go, Miss Parsiby, from the story and the life that Kayla lived, what really was something that you gained from Kayla? Apart from a granddaughter,
Mhm.
she lived with you, you saw her struggles, you saw her triumphs. How would you describe Kayla's story to yourself, and how much did she inspire you as a grandmother and a granddaughter?
Wow, that's a tough question. Kayla was, what can I say? She, her strength and her, what I would say, maybe her fortitude and her patience with her illness was really amazing. She went through enormous pain, but she was always able to put a brave face on it. She had me, well, totally amazed by the fact that she could watch all that was being done to her when it was being done, whether it was taking blood, giving her the injections, or whatever it is. And she always found a way to make more or less light of her situation. Her arms would be all black and blue, her fingers all swollen and stuff from all the pricks and the relocation of ports, and so that she had to get, but she would always say, "But oh, Lois, look at me, look at my hands." She had an issue with her wisdom teeth, and the one gave her particular trouble. She would just said, "Oh, Lois, look, I look like one of those dogs with the big cheeks." She had an amazing attitude to life. She had I don't know, a really surprising ability to cope with pain and to deal with pain. That was truly amazing. When she came to live with us, she brought a sense of brightness, I guess, into the house. She had us, watching more TV, looking at America's Got Talent and all these shows that we never even dreamt of looking at. And then she had this amazing capacity to love. And also, what was really amazing is that she never stayed vexed with anybody for any length of time. I think she knew that her time would have been limited, so she didn't have time to waste on being vexed and being at odds with anyone. So she always was able to, she vexed with you, you have a little argument, and 5 minutes and 10 minutes time she would be there by you. Okay, granny, don't be like that, granny. So she was just what I can say, a really amazing child. She had a love for life, a love for people. She got, and a lot of it she got, I think, from her mother, because her mother Simone also had the same illness, and I think her mother was really able to relate to her. And her mother also had a very outgoing personality, and she really dealt with the illness well. So I think a lot of Kayla's ability to deal with her illness stemmed from her mother. Although her mother could recognize that Kayla was a little, maybe a step beyond her, and she was, well, not really more in tune with her illness, but she gave what you may call it, she always projected a radiance and a bright light and stuff like that. She was a little beyond her mother, but her mother herself was able to recognize it. And she also had a younger sister who also has the disease. And I guess she was just a shining star for them all.
Kayla, to me, sounds as though in the life that she lived and the time that she spent here with us, she was a guardian angel to many, and she seemed mature way beyond her years in the lives that we all live. We hope to reach that level. We hope to reach that mindset, and we hope to live a life just like that. It seems as though Kayla, with her time here, she was able to do all of that. It's
Yeah.
quite incredible.
As my
Massive.
dad said, Kayla lived many lives
Yes.
in her short 23 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And she really was a lot more mature than her years, you know, and from a very young age. So it might have been, you know, well, not might have been. I would really say that it was because of her illness and because of all that she had to go through, and also see her mother go through, you know, that brought a real mature sense of the way her outlook on life, and so she
Well,
really was, yeah.
Miss Parasibi, that's the thing. You know, I know you say that, but there would be those who would opt to just allow such a diagnosis or such a life to bring them down. They would give up almost instantly. And Kilo's like, no, no, you're not gonna tell me
Yeah.
who I am or how I'm going to live. Kilo was like, you know, I've got my time and I'm going to do a lot with it. And she certainly did.
Yes, yes. And one of her poems, she did say that she had lupus, but lupus didn't have her, you know? So, yeah, I think she was able to cope with the lupus, but the fact that her kidneys failed a little, and maybe in 2018, a good little way down the line from the first having the disease. I think the kidney failure was really it was the icing on the cake for the lupus, really, put it that way. Not the icing on the cake for her, but really for the lupus, you know. So that really kind of trebled her illnesses and so, you know. But she was, I mean, she really was amazing in the way that she faced all that was thrown at her and so because of the illness and so. And I remember one person even asking me, why did I allow her to go to university? You know, but I said, I mean, to my mind, I said, well, wait, what is she going to do? Just sit down and wait for the illness to overtake her, you know? And that wasn't Kayla, and that wasn't me,
No.
you know? And given the way, you know, Kayla was and so full of life and looking to learn and stuff like that, university was the best for her. She always said that she went to university because of me, though, eh? You know, so I had to tell her, well, you're not doing it for me, you're doing it for yourself, because I was really planning for when my turn came to leave her and she would be left alone, that she would be in a position to maintain herself and so, you know, but it was not to be. Yeah.
Keaton.
Can you, Keaton? Keaton, we're not hearing you.
Your mic is muted.
You see, I think Naomi is supposed to do most of the talking. That's why. That's what happened. You're supposed to do most of it. But, you know, Miss Paris TV, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Yes, I know before the program I was fondly calling you Auntie Christine as well because of Naomi. But I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning. And as I was saying when I was muted, I think really the attitude that Kayla had and her approach to life, we can only hope to have an ounce of that in our lives. We can really only hope to have just an ounce of that. We would go a long way. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. This really has been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It was.
And I know you said no hard questions. I hope we did.
No, not really. Not really. Thank you. You were good. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Naomi, thank you also.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Naomi, I mean, I think if you found that I was struggling this morning a bit with this interview in particular, it's because there was so much that you know, you're reading about Kayla, hearing about Kayla. I mean, Naomi and I sat down in the office once. We had a conversation at length about Kayla. It's so hard. It was so very difficult to describe just exactly who she was as an individual. And that's why even I'm curious more so to read this particular book because learning about Kayla's story, about her attitude, and her approach to dealing with things, it is absolutely incredible. And you may see, for all those who met Kayla, you really were blessed. You really, really were fortunate. And for all those who had Kayla as a friend, got to call Kayla a friend, you really did something good in your previous life to get to experience that in this life. Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. We will return shortly to continue this morning's program. Stay with us.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc? Every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really
respond
want
to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the Normalization Committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No,
of this game.
no.
Let's go to the last part.
Folks, we're back and better than ever.
Your show have always appeared to be a show that is focused on going to the cause or looking to the cause.
We hardly ever talk about the white collar crime though. We always talk about the ones that involve more as physical violence against individuals.
The citizens will only measure transmission when water starts to flow through their taps.
The Constitution doesn't talk about local election.
Contract mafia is responsible for looting the country and they own and operate these politicians.
So if you are running a country and you can't say nothing as a prime minister, please take up your bag and go.
It is not comparative to the murder figures, but it is in fact very high.
I believe he's protecting certain individuals.
Okay, so we're continuing with an inspiring show this morning. We're not stressing you out early this morning. We'll save that for another day. We're continuing with good stories and good topics. Naomi is with us. Naomi, hello, good to see you again.
Hi, Keaton. Hi, everyone.
Naomi, I need your energy early on in the morning. But also joining us this morning is a guest who has been on AM Prime previously, the director at Movement, Miss Nicole Bubble Paddington. Good morning, Miss Bubble Paddington, and welcome back. Good to see you.
Morning, everyone. Hi, Keaton. Hi, Naomi. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You gotta sound happy and excited. We know the sun is rising, but you gotta sound as though you're ready to embrace the day ahead. But it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. So I am movement. You see, this is exactly what I clarified with you before we came live. I am movement is actually hosting a climate awareness demonstration, and I believe it's due to take place tomorrow. Correct me if I'm wrong on that particular date. Tell us a bit more about this particular event. What is planned as part of a climate awareness demonstration?
Okay, happy to. And yeah, y'all are aware this show is very early, right? So I am not a morning person, still waking up. Thank God the event tomorrow is in the afternoon at 3:30 on the Queen's Park Savannah. And yes, you're right, it is in fact a climate awareness demonstration. This is different to what we're accustomed to seeing on the Savannah. I'm not sure, I can't remember if I mentioned it is on the Queen's Park Savannah. We're accustomed to seeing marches and so on, walks and so on for people demonstrating causes. This is a little different in that it's not a massive gathering. Actually, this month and this year, I Am Movement commemorates its 10th year since our incorporation as an environmental and social NGO. And every month we've been celebrating different themes. And the theme that we're celebrating this month, or commemorating this month, is climate awareness and climate change. And basically, the demonstration will see some of our members and volunteers position themselves all the way around the savannah, basically holding signs with different messaging, bringing climate change to the minds of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We find, it's easy to forget that this is an issue as we go about our daily lives. But as we do that, we have to remember that every one of us is contributing to the problems in terms of environmental destruction, and everyone has a carbon footprint, right? So it's not something that a lot of people are aware of as we go about our daily lives. And it is something that we need to be aware of, and everyone actively and consciously engaging every day with their carbon footprint and being aware of these things. So the point of the demonstration is basically to remind people, hey, this is an issue, and we all have a responsibility to make certain choices to ensure that we are being individually responsible. And as a collective, when everybody does their own part, you make a massive impact.
You use that word responsibility, and I Am Movement, in terms of their action, I know that they have done quite a lot. Yeah, I've been following the organization actually, and I've been learning quite a bit more about it and its work over the last 10 years in particular. When you speak about responsibility and citizens' roles that they play, what can we do to help this particular situation that is climate change, and every citizen is feeling the impact? You are doing a climate awareness campaign. What action can we undertake?
There's so many, Keaton, and I would say some of the things are, it's basically how we live our lives in our own homes every day. A significant contributor to global warming, as you know, is greenhouse gases. And what are one of the main greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide, which is created when we go about our daily lives and in terms of energy consumption. So electricity in our home, everything in Trinidad runs on natural gas, which thank God is not as emitting as some other fossil fuels, but it does generate a lot of greenhouse gases, which contributes to global warming. So our energy consumption is definitely something that we could be aware of. So there are different things, turn off the lights. And it doesn't only benefit us in terms of our carbon footprint. This eventually, as you, enact these practices, it actually has cost benefits in the long run. So that's a simple thing. Turn off your lights, use energy efficient bulbs. Turn off your appliances. Don't leave your air conditioner on during the day. We I saw that expression, Keaton. Yeah, so just manage your energy consumption is definitely one of the things that we can do. And as a society as well, Trinidad is a pretty significant emitter in the world, whereby so many people have their own individual cars. And there's opportunity for us to increase mass transit because when you do that, then, you're basically having less emissions per person. It's shared. So those are some things off of the top of my head we can do. Of course, there are other different environmental things in terms of managing our waste, basically. So things like, when another very strong greenhouse gas is methane, which happens when we send organic waste to landfills. Methane is when the organic waste breaks down, it creates methane, which is a greenhouse gas, which creates global warming. So another thing we can do is start to manage your organic waste and create our own little compost instead of sending the organic waste to the landfill. When you do that, now you now have soil, and especially during COVID, I don't know if you remember, a lot of people were doing kitchen gardens. So all of these things are positive for the environment.
These are things that we don't always think about, which is why an awareness is very important. In my question about the air condition, I will admit, that your air conditioning is on because the place is hot, and the thing that you're thinking about the most is my electricity bill. Not even thinking about the carbon footprint that Ms. Bowell-Pennington spoke about. And then you also have me wondering, I really wonder what TNT's methane emissions are, if we even have an idea at all as to what that is. But Naomi, I digress to you.
No, I wanted to hear a little bit more about things that we can look forward to at this event. Anything exciting, anything interesting, fun. I understand it's to bring awareness. So
yeah, I mean, so it's really meant for awareness. We definitely, the people who are partaking in the demonstration, I mean, I believe we're going to have some fun with it. We're a really good, close-knit group. Over the years, we've done lots of different events together. So this one we haven't actually done before. So, the novelty of it should definitely be fun. What would also be fun is if motorists, and it's really geared to motorists and pedestrians around the savannah at that time of the afternoon, after work when you're driving around and you see us standing there holding these signs, give us a little honk, and show your support. That would be cool.
Yeah, pump your horn. You see, pump your horn. So you know that you're getting the message. You know that you're in support of the messages that come across. What time is this taking place? Or I know you said tomorrow afternoon, Queen's Park, tomorrow. What time?
Right. So we will be gathering around 3:30, and unfortunately, this is not one of the events where we're gonna invite, the public to come down because we do have a certain designated number of signs, and we have a finite number of people and specific positions where we'll be located at. But we do hope to have people in place by 4:30. By then, some offices will be closing, and you should be able to drive around and see us holding those signs.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of foot traffic as well around that time. So
yes, correct.
I think that's the point, Keaton.
Sorry?
I think that's the point.
I know, I'm just also trying to remind myself, we gotta go right around the savannah tomorrow at 4:30. Yeah. But Ms. Bowell-Pennington, eye movement, when they were celebrating Plastic Free Month, didn't they do a Moko Jambi as well? Am I not mistaken about that?
Correct. We did do a Moko Jambi, sort of just it was, something that it was a Thursday morning. And we were thinking the theme of that month, like this month is climate awareness, that month was plastic free. And, you know, in Trinidad, we consume a lot of single-use plastics. You would be aware of this because we see it every time it rains, what our drains and canals and even the sea looks like. So again, just something to position the topic in people's mind. We created a Moko costume, and we worked with Little Jabs and Moko TT to go walk through Port of Spain with us randomly on a Thursday morning as people went to work in this costume made of single-use plastics. And it was just meant, it was designed to be a spectacle. Of course, a lot of little kids going to school and their parents came up and interacted with the Moko Jambi. And you know, people ask like, what's happening here? What's going on? So the point is to stimulate the conversations and to bring awareness and consciousness to the matters at hand.
And you guys certainly have found ways to do that, especially with that Moko Jambi. I'm advocating for eye movement to bring it back. Yeah, I'm advocating. I mentioned it. I was like, you got to bring it back.
We definitely intend to have the plastic Moko Jambi at some other events during the course of the year and beyond.
Certainly. So 4:30, I think around 4:30 tomorrow, as you said, at the Queen's Park Savannah, walk by and see all that's taking place from eye movement. And if you're passing via the actual roundabout, pump your horn when you see them. Well, Miss Bubble Paddington, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and thanks very much for the work that you do and the entire team at Eye Movement does.
Thanks so much for having me again. It's always fun. And yeah, definitely drive by, give us a little support tomorrow.
Okay, Naomi, you heard your...
I definitely will. I definitely will.
Riding shotgun, Naomi is driving tomorrow. Miss Bubble Paddington, thank you so very much. And we look forward to more conversations to come. You know, as all part of an awareness campaign, AM Prime is always here, ready and willing to help. So thank you so much.
We really appreciate you guys' support. Thanks again.
No problem. Have a great day. All the very best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Naomi, that in itself, as I mentioned, it's not something that you often think about. At least I don't think about the level of consciousness in your daily habits and how it actually is contributing to climate change and global warming. We all have an understanding as per plastics and the use of plastics and how that affects the environment. But as I mentioned, you know, it's secondary to us when we switch on our AC, how we are actually contributing to a carbon footprint.
And the thing is, it's not that we don't know, it's just when we're not mindful of it. So we think, oh, we have on the AC because outside is hot, you know, and we just want to feel cool. So we're thinking about ourselves, but we're not thinking about what it's doing to the environment. That's, I think, for most people, that's the furthest thought in their mind.
And then,
you know, I think we're all guilty of that at some point.
And then I really had a bit of like something in my head when I heard that our methane emissions. I really wonder what is that for Trinidad and Tobago, because again, how many of us actually have been utilizing the options and opportunities? We've highlighted that on AM Prime and ourselves, to have your compost at home. You know, it's simple, it's very easy to have it. And how many of us have actually done that? Because at the end of the day, when we throw all our organic waste in the bin, you know, again, we're not thinking about how it's contributing to global warming and climate change. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that is it for this particular segment on AM Prime. It is Wednesday, so that means Ricardo Mee will be joining us in studio shortly. Naomi and I have very little time to get there to be with him on set. So be patient, because Wild Wednesday is right around the corner. Stay with us.
You are watching Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Just give an overview of what exactly is that split arrangement.
Nah, you don't need to register nothing. You don't need, we can do that another time. But then it becomes a hit, and then everybody starts to want to claim.
The laws that predate many of the independent countries' constitutions are going to be those colonial laws.
We know there are an infinite amount of circumstances that would lead to a murder.
I have a great idea and I have a great concept, but until it's actually expressed, it does not become intellectual property.
Accomplishments or targets of a forensic accountant is to quantify what may have been lost.
They believe in different criminals and we manipulated the law and we exploited the system.
A responsible journalist will reach out to the person who they have the information on for a comment.
Transform your home with PCU Plus. From stylish furniture to the latest appliances, we have everything you need to create your perfect space. At PCU Plus, we offer fair prices and affordable financing options that are cheaper than hire purchase agreements. With convenient locations in San Fernando, Tobago, Arima, and our lifestyle showroom in Barataria, you're never far from the best deals. Visit PCU Plus today and discover why we're the top choice for quality furniture and appliances. PCU Plus. Quality you trust, prices you'll love. Visit one of our locations or find us online to start transforming your home today.
Well, it's that time of the week, ladies and gentlemen, where we have a Wild Wednesday, but it's a special Wild Wednesday. No animals this morning, just me. I know you might. I mean, Ricardo's here as well. I know you might prefer the animals, but you're gonna have to be happy with Ricardo and I for now. Ricardo, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am doing fantabulously.
That's good to know. Ricardo, take the hint. You see, I'm wearing my shirt, this particular color shirt again when it comes to Wild Wednesday. Huh?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Before the end of October, you will be in your ECWC gear. I guarantee you.
ladies and gentlemen, I've advocated so strongly for this, even though I have not volunteered. So I'm very selfish or very fortunate. It depends on how you look at it. Ricardo, thanks for joining us this morning. It has been a while though. How are you keeping? How have things been? How is work at the center going?
It's hectic. Things have been good. We've all been keeping well. Been through our little dengue phase and came out on the other end doing even better. And you know, it seems like baby season continues. So if you hear a little chirping in the background, we have 3 swifts that are being hand-fed worms. And then we have tanagers, and we have kiskadis, and we have thrushes, and we have owls. So the babies keep coming in. Climate change has done this to us, where there's now no longer a particular breeding season, but you have the animals being willing and able to give birth at any point in time during the course of the year.
Well, it seems as though we have a lot of horny birds, Ricardo. That's what's taking place. But we are hearing the birds in the background, actually, but it's a nice addition to the audio, so no worries about that at all. If only we could have seen it, but no worries, I know that it's feeding time. But you've got another busy period actually starting, coming October 1st. It's when hunting season opens, and as I said, it's a very busy period, because not only are the hunters gearing up and they're quite excited, but also the conservation center is probably gearing up as well.
Yep. Unfortunately, there's a lot more intakes during that period, especially in the month of October, and a lot of it because of injuries and abandonment due to the start of the hunting season. As many people can attest, you cannot really control your dogs when they're out there running in pack, as they call it, or even solo. Dogs will go after just about anything that's in the bush that they encounter. So a lot of times the dog doesn't know this is game, this is not game. I have a permit for this, I don't have a permit for that. They just do what they have been trained to do: chase, grab, and oftentimes even kill. Some maiming occurs in the process, and then that's where we come in. Some parents will abandon the homes, the nests, as it were, and sometimes you're left with the babies that cannot fend for themselves. So we come in there now to raise these now orphan animals. Sometimes the parents are killed, even without abandonment, they kill them. So then they have the orphan animal to see about. And then some of the animals are maimed, not intentionally, but then those are also animals that are subject to admission and care as patients of the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation.
Ricardo, are there any animals that during this particular period, even though hunting season is open, are not supposed to be the targets for hunters, are to be left alone?
Yeah, because it's very simple. You have to purchase a license from Forestry Division to hunt as a hunter. Well, of course, you provide your national ID and stuff like that. And you are given 3 permits. You are allowed 3 permits to hunt 3 different species of animals. Anything outside of that or beyond that, you are now acting illegally. So in other words, you are poaching. So if you have a permit for, say, deer, lizard, which would be like iguana, and mat, and caiman, and then you have one for agouti. Those are your 3 permits. You cannot now shoot wild hog legally, and that's pretty much how it goes. What is on your permit is what you are allowed to hunt, and that's it. So the laws are pretty clear. The problem comes in the enforcement of the laws, actually getting out there and getting these things actually done. To check people's trays or bags, as it were, to see what they have in there, as opposed to what permits they allow. Many believe, and many will just grab one permit and do whatever, because nobody bothering you that you have a permit, you can just show them a permit. But the permits are very specific. And there's certain animals now that are off the table when it comes to hunting. Like, for example, pretty much birds. None of the wildfowl or ducks are allowed to be hunted anymore. That has been the way it has been for a few years now. And men still violate that with impunity. They don't particularly care. This is what they do, and this is what they will continue doing. And that's the sad reality of our hunting situation here in Trinidad and Tobago.
So, as you mentioned, the laws are there, it's the enforcement of those laws, and there's people actually adhering to those laws as well. Is it oftentimes where we see more poachers than hunters? Because you just kind of defined a poacher versus a hunter.
Well, I've said it before, and I will say it again, without any fear. There are more poachers than hunters in Trinidad and Tobago. And I will explain. As a hunter, you would obey the law. That's what makes you a hunter. There's a hunting period, and that period doesn't just extend from the 1st of October to the last day in February. It stops for iguanas on the 31st of December. So if you, on the 1st of January, holiday, you're home with your partners, and you go out and you grab a couple iguanas, you are now a poacher. You have broken the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. Hunters obey the laws, and the hunters like to boast that. Hunters is obey the laws, and them other fellas is poachers. Another main thing where most hunters fall down and shift into the category of poachers is that there is a time period in the 24-hour clock for hunting, which goes basically like this. During the dark, you are not allowed to hunt. So it's illegal to hunt at night. I believe it's from 6:30 or 7 p.m. until about 5:30 in the morning. You are not allowed to hunt any animals. But as we know in Trinidad, most hunting occurs at night.
Which is why I don't know if you were able to see the expression on my face, but you see people hunting for manikou and iguana and agouti at night more than any other time.
Yeah, even way back when the laws were transferred from the old hunting laws into the Conservation of Wildlife Act, way before 1962, when that process was taking place, they understood that to give the animals a chance, you had to limit human activity in the forest to kill them at night, because they realized a lot of our neotropical animals come out at night to forage and move around. So to sort of balance it and make it a little equal, they prevented people from going into the forest way back then. And also, there's a law that prevents you from hunting with artificial light. That is a law. That is illegal. So artificial light back then was flambeau and carbide. Now we have LED lights that could shine up to 15 million candle power for 24 hours. So when two men go into the forest with headlights, wherever in front of them becomes daylight. So that is super illegal. If carbide and flambeau was illegal back in the days, the LED lights now, it's just horrible violations of what the act is about and what it's meant to be, to protect the animal. Remember, this is the Conservation of Wildlife Act. Even through hunting, they realize they must conserve. Else, what you're going to hunt? Each other?
Ricardo, what about you spoke about hunting within the forest. Quite often we see people actually hunting in residential areas. Again, specifically, I don't know if manikou, iguana, but is that also something that is permitted, or do the laws speak to that?
Well, the law was amended recently, and it spoke to hunting within city limits. City limits. So within Port of Spain, you see iguanas and so on, you are not allowed. But there's a need for that to be expanded, because San Fernando is a very large city also, with a lot of foliage around. So you do see the iguanas. And it's a terrifying experience, because I've had people call me at all hours of the day and night that people are in their yard or outside their yard or their gate hunting. And one lady kept complaining about lead falling on her house, on her roof, a galvanized roof, while these people are hunting. You hear when they did not, strike the target, you hear things falling on her roof. And she called, and she was cowering under her bed and calling me. And I was trying to get her to call the police to get action and so on. And she said, I did that, and they said they can't send anybody. And the usual problem we have when we're trying to get sometimes law enforcement to respond to certain situations. But there needs to be sensitization all around with law enforcement, because they need to understand that these people doing these activities are breaking the law. Thus, that is also a crime. And if you are crime fighters, you fight crime wherever and whenever it occurs.
So what can we do as citizens actually to try and help the situation? Because if these laws exist, the enforcement is not there, citizens don't necessarily want to take the law into their own hand, generally speaking. So when it comes to hunting of animals, people might not care at all. But what can be done to help the situation?
Educating citizens and getting people to be much more aware of the law. But it first of all starts with actually getting law enforcement to be aware of the law. Many times, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service are quite reluctant to respond to calls where the violation occurs dealing with animals and, of course, wildlife. So sometimes they'll blanket say, well, it's hunting season. Yes, it's hunting season, but it's now January. You cannot hunt iguanas. So I've had calls to them, and I've had a lot of resistance. And they would have told me, well, I didn't know you couldn't hunt iguanas in January. So it's the law. This is the law. You are there to uphold the law. Isn't the first and most important part of your job to know the law? The law isn't just going to jump out and come at you and say, this is who I am. This is what you should be doing. Take a minute to read and understand. I believe there needs to be a lot more sensitization and awareness to remove the ignorance on the part of many people within the TTPS, so they understand that these people are running around with guns, be they air-powered or of actual firearms, around people's homes, are often doing things illegal. Many times they don't even have a permit for these guns. Many times at night now, that is now illegal. That is a chargeable offense. And there's so many. You can tack on sometimes as many as 10 charges to one situation where you find people at night hunting around people's homes. But you have to be aware of this in order to be able to do that. And in making examples of the violators of the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, you will get the others to stand in line and do the proper thing. Now, we also now are calling on these associations. So there are hunters associations in Trinidad and Tobago in various counties, Victoria, St. Patrick, you know. These associations must take it upon themselves to properly educate their membership so that they cannot be all painted in the same brush. They complain that I paint them all in the same brush. But when 50, 60, 70% of your membership are breaking the law, that is enough to say all of them. You know, we do it in Trinidad. All of them, or the hunters does. But I don't say the hunters, I say directly poachers. Because I catch you in the bush at night with hunting apparatus, which is illegal, then you are breaking the law. You are now a poacher. So don't just call about the guy who hunting in July and August. Talk to your membership who are hunting 10 o'clock in the night and coming out with deer. So it's a major, major problem that has to be addressed and looked at in focus in order to bring about the change that we want. Now, I cannot say, people have called me a Bambi hugger, a tree hugger, because I can't kill Bambi. Let me make it straight up clear that I have the ability and the capability with circumstances to put anything to sleep. We have to do that as a wildlife conservation center because we will not allow an animal to suffer and then it die. Sometimes we have to euthanize. So I have the ability, the capability, the capacity to put down just about any animal. So I'm not against killing an animal. I am not vegan or vegetarian. So by me consuming meat, that means I am endorsing and allowing the killing of other animals, which is okay. There is no suffering, and there is something called sustainability. So there is no shortage of what we call white fowl or broilers in Trinidad. In fact, I even raise that. I even raise yard fowl. I don't have a problem raising chickens and then using them for meat, for food. But I will not torture the chicken. I will not let my dogs bite at the chicken until it usually, after a while, succumbs to its injuries after bleeding out. I will, in the most humane and precise manner, dispatch that animal so there is as little suffering as possible and then prepare it in a sanitary manner to provide a meal for my family or whoever else. So there is a vast difference. I don't have a problem with killing animals. I have hunted. I didn't catch anything when I hunted. I went to the US to hunt deer, which is a major problem in the US. But they believed that I was such a novice, they put me in an area where I couldn't disturb them, where the real game was. But I was just happy for the experience and the opportunity to get back there. So I was willing to hunt deer. I was willing to hunt wild boar in the US. See, these are problems. And they've decided that hunting them, dispatching them would help to curtail or control the numbers. Here in Trinidad, deer is not a problem. In fact, we are at a risk of losing our local deer, much as has happened in Tobago. Many of us turn a blind eye to that. We're not talking about the white Sumatran rhino in Africa and all these places like that. We're talking about animals right here that have been lost. So let me give you a little list of major mammals. I'm not talking about a butterfly or a bug. Major mammals that have been extirpated. Extirpation is when you've killed out an animal in a particular area and there are no more. So, Keaton, you cannot go deer hunting in Tobago. It's legal, but you just can't do it for a simple reason. There are no red-brocket deer in Tobago. They have all been killed out. And you know the really sad part about that is? Since 1775, Tobago's Main Ridge Forest Reserve has been deemed the first protected wildlife area in the Western Hemisphere. Since 1775, the British looked at that and said, don't touch a tree, don't touch a flower, don't touch a bacha, don't touch a deer. And yet still, in that protected area, always protected as far as we basically know, the red-brocket deer is extirpated, no more. They found that the deer was important to the ecosystem, so they tried to introduce something called the white-tailed deer, which are a little more prolific and easier, they believe, to repopulate. And as soon as they were put into the forest, they too were extirpated, all killed out. So let's move on from those two animals. That's deer. Two species of deer, no more in Tobago. The quink, wild hog, or colored peccary, once abundant in the hills and the forests, gone. There are claims that there's some here and some there. Whatever there is that may be left is not sustainable to really repopulate the island. The only way you're going to get wild hog back in Tobago, stop people from hunting in the forest reserve, and have a serious reintroduction program over there. Other than that, you can see it probably by Corbin Wildlife or any other wildlife person who is breeding wild hog. But in the forest, you shall see none. Then we have the ocelot, one of my favorite animals. And many people have tried to argue with me on this, that it are no ocelot in Tobago. That is very much correct, sir or ma'am. There are no ocelot in Tobago because they have been extirpated. Some people took it upon themselves to kill these animals. Now, these are not game animals. They are not food animals. People kill them because they're fur or for fare or just for the saying of that they shot one of those animals. So with that, we have none. So 4 major mammal species no longer exist in the paradise and the green, clean, serene Tobago, and the most protected, longest forest reserve in the Western Hemisphere. So if that could happen in a protected area, what was left for Trinidad?
Well, Ricardo, I mean, I've heard of the day before, but you know, in Tobago, because you know, you've spoken to me about it before, but learning about the quench, as we call it, and even the ocelot, wow. Ricardo, is there a need for a hunting season? I mean, people have a taste for wild meat, as they say, but is there a need for a hunting season? Are there any benefits apart from man hunting for food?
Need? Absolutely not. I have been, had to listen to really illogical and senseless arguments about controlling the animal. This is what they come up with, To control the animals, we as humans need to kill them. So we are trying to say that we have a better plan or understanding than Mother Nature. For example, in Tobago, they have a problem with agouti. And they don't understand that it is man-made, created. Wild hog will eat agouti. Yes, that is the way they are. They will eat agouti. The ocelot would eat agouti. Not the very best hunters of agouti, I would admit, but they will eat agouti if they catch them either young or old or maimed in some way. They will eat agouti. So you have 2 animals there. Then the most feared animal in Tobago, do you know what that is? Mackerel. A large mackerel. Yep. Mackerel.
Yeah, I say cockerel because of how it damages their crops, but yeah,
mackerel. Oh, no. The most feared animal in Tobago is a snake, a big snake. I would profess that nobody in the entire world afraid of snake more than a Tobagonian who afraid of snake. It is be on a different level, I am telling you. And I can say that because half of me from day. I used to be Begonian, totally Trin Begonian. So it's not Trini talking about Begonians. I grew up there to an extent, and I spent time there with my family and stuff like that there. Nobody is afraid. In fact, next month we're going to Tobago. And when we carry the snakes in Tobago, half of the people are going to love them, and half of the people will stand in a corner and make the sign of the cross because they believe Satan come for them. And I kid thee not. Okay? But the importance of the mackerel, why I brought up the mackerel. What do you think the mackerel's favorite food is? The agouti. So you kill the mackerel, and now you're crying that the agouti eating your crops and messing up your edos and your cassava and so on. Come on, people. We can't have it both ways. Nature had a balance, and once we throw that balance off, we will pay the price. We will always pay the price. There's no getting away from it. You can try as you may, there is no getting away from paying the price when you have an imbalance. And that is what's happening in our world today. All the imbalances and all the stuff is coming home. The roosters, as they say, are coming home. And we are paying the price.
In Trinidad in particular, are there any animals that are on the verge of extinction because of a hunting season or just hunting activities?
I would profess that the deer and the wild hog would be the 2 animals that would first totally collapse. And I don't have to go into the bush to see or not see them. There's camera traps now that are showing us the same animals in the same area. You're not seeing multiples as you would have done in the past. The fact that the deer has a long gestation period and a slow reproduction rate, and then the rate at which people are killing them, means that the numbers would be steadily on the decline. Add that to normal human expansion, where once stood a bush, now stood a car park and a mall. So habitat loss goes right along with it. So the animals now do something called concentration. If before you had 100 square kilometers for 100 animals, and now you are down to 50, you would have now 100 animals in 50 square kilometers. A hunter sampling up on that 50 square kilometers would say, my goodness, look how many animals in this area, not understanding that that is all the animals within that area. So when you start to shoot, by the time you shoot 25 now, you would have destroyed half of the population of the animals within that area that were once within the 100 square kilometer area. So we're now down to 25, where it was once 100. And people need to understand that that is what is happening over and over in more and more places in Trinidad as a result of development. And then the animals concentrate, and then people kill them off, believing that they are tremendous numbers. And that is all not true. What is tremendously true is that there's steady declines. And if you speak to honest hunters, they would tell you that there is just less and less stuff out there for them to kill. And I have known several who have literally put down their guns, and all they seek to do now is shoot with a camera, because they want their grandchildren, they want the stories of the bush to be told, but not on a plate with curry, but through their pictures.
Wow. I think that's a fine way to end the conversation. Put down your guns and pick up your cameras, because, this is what Ricardo. But I want to thank you very much for joining us on AM Prime. As always, thank you so much for your time and presence and bringing a sense of awareness, but educating people on these laws as well that exist. Ricardo, all the very best to you and to the center. Even though we had this conversation, we know that come October 1st, the difficulty begins.
Yes, indeed. But we stand ready and will do our best as we increase our capacity to serve the people and the animals of Trinidad and Tobago.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Ricardo, to you and to the rest of the team.
Thank you for having me.
All the best.
Have a great day.
You too. Ladies and gentlemen, the hunting season opens on October 1st, closes on October 28th. Ricardo mentioned some things there that even I have to admit, I was not aware. I don't hunt, and I've never gone on a hunting expedition in Trinidad, or anywhere for that fact. But it is illegal, it's against the law to use any unnatural light at night when hunting in the forest or hunting anywhere for that fact. In fact, you're not even supposed to hunt at night at all. And apart from that, people hunting within city limits. It's amazing how these things exist, and yet throughout the entire year, people are enjoying, the taste of wild meat, as they say. It comes at a cost. It really is. Look at that. Look at those examples given of the deer, the red-rocket deer in Tobago, for example. Incredible. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with that, it signals the end of AM Prime. Thank you very much to my guests for joining me on the program this morning, and thank you, the viewer, for being a part of it as always. We do this for you. We do this for you. We do this for Trinidad and Tobago. To my team in the studio, Ryan Gomez, Brooke, and Milewood, thank you always for ensuring that the show goes live. And ladies and gentlemen, it's an exciting day for many because cricket returns to Trinidad and Tobago. We had World Cup earlier this year, but the heated rivalry of Trinbago Knight Riders versus the Guyana Amazon Warriors kicks off from 7 p.m. tonight at the Queen's Park Oval. So many people are looking forward to that. In fact, I was having a conversation with Mr. Abdullah off air, how he was watching the cricket last night. Me, for one, actually switched off the game halfway through. I thought it wasn't making any sense. But none of that for now. We'll discuss the game tomorrow morning. I'm Keegan Shaw, reminding you today is a good day to have a good day. And we'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.
WESN. WESN.
The home of Caribbean content is growing, and we welcome you to be a part of the #1 platform for young personalities who are driven to make a positive impact in society. As we continue to reach every corner of Trinidad and Tobago through our daily broadcasts, our social media pages, or through our 75+ digital billboards across the nation, contact us to learn about our competitive rates via marketing at wesncc.com or call us at 628-5835. WESN Content Capital, television with a difference.
This is 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson. The distance from where we should be in the world in going forward on our commitments with climate change.
The effects of climate change that cannot be accounted for, it's called loss and damage. And we're seeing loss and damage happening so much more in this decade and the previous decade.
The principal term there was this question of the correspondent banking issues.
That is why we're trying to build capacity with this country here, Trinidad and Tobago, and other countries in the region. Man is not showing any signs of stopping or even slowing down. More than half of the forest in Trinidad is already gone.
All the plants and all the animals and all of the nice clean water and fresh air and everything had to be on this planet for humanity to have a chance.
We have small change when it comes to countries that can take decisions, and when they speak, the world listens.
The General Assembly is a very democratic forum. And Trinidad and Tobago has the same vote as Canada, in spite of the obvious difference in size.
We are tackling the hard-hitting topics, some controversial topics, some topics we sweep under the rug. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward.
If it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing?
It is very uncommon for somebody in the younger age group to have dementia.
Atheists don't not believe.
Is that I can't disprove God, but you also can't prove God, so we cannot have a stalemate.
We'll focus on the woman who's being the victim, right, or the man who's being the victim. We exclude the children.
Folks are trying to study the underlying brain mechanism to figure out how does this particular disorder happen in the brain? How is the brain processing this?
Don't worry about AI, worry about humans working with AI.
Are you willing to learn new skills to stay relevant for the future job market? That's the challenge that people are going to struggle with.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop